I've never found a love like this. There it is. I've never found a love like this.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to E20 Zone TV. It's Friday. It's preview day. It's the final game of the season. West Ham are travelling to Leicester in a sort of game where a few weeks ago West Ham would have been in a bit of trouble. I'm thinking to ourselves, we might have to get something out of this game. Thankfully, we don't have to get anything out of this game. We are safe, but Leicester are not, and Leicester are massively in trouble. Obviously, before I get started, please do smash a like on the video and please do subscribe to the channel if you are new around here. Right, let's get into this. And let's start off with this. Leicester versus West Ham, 4:30 p.m. UK time, Sunday. For me, this is a game where West Ham need to start trying out a few youngsters, seeing how like a few of the youngsters get on in this game. All right, it wouldn't be a bad shout playing Mbamba from the start. It wouldn't be a bad shout playing other players like in this team from the start. Like some youngsters in this team, like Earthy. Well, I wouldn't even seen him play. Like even been on the subs bench wouldn't be a bad shout. This season, as a whole, has been a struggle for West Ham in like a lot of aspects, especially in the Premier League. Now, don't forget me wrong. I'm so thankful that we are safe. That's the first thing I can safely say, that we are safe, we are sound. Nothing can stop us now, sort of thing. I mean, obviously the conference will take care of itself, and it's a great achievement to be in the final of the conference. But the Premier League form this season has been very, very hit and miss as a whole. Do you know what I'm saying? We've managed to claw ourselves over the line and get ourselves to safety. On Sunday, what do I expect from this game? Not a lot from West Ham, if I'm being truthfully honest. I think it's all about Leicester. I think Leicester are going to come. I think Leicester are going to try and impose themselves and try and win this game. And hopefully other results go their way. I'll be quite shocked if West Ham do get anything out of this game. A lot of the players will be thinking of Prague. They will be thinking of like the final. And for me, it's a game where it'd be nice to see some youngsters who have developed over the last sort of 6 months either in the starting lineup or at least on the bench. I wouldn't like to play Jared Bowen in this game. He's just had twins, him and his partner. And for me, I just don't think it's the game for him, really. I think let him score 2 in the final rather than 2 against Leicester City. Do you know what I'm saying? Obviously, Zuma come off the other week, which is a bit of a concern. I wouldn't even risk him. Players that I would play in this game, I would play Ben Johnson in this game. I would play Tilo in this game. Lanzini, I would play in this game. I think it's an ideal game for him, like as a farewell send-off sort of thing. Ings is another one. I think Ben Rama, I would play Ben Rama in this game because, you know, he didn't play last week. He didn't get on the pitch last week. I would give him sort of half hour in this game, if not an hour in this game. We'll rotate it the other way around. And I'd like to see West Ham literally have a real good go, but I just don't think West Ham are going to be on this one. I really don't. I think this is more about Leicester trying to stay up than West Ham going there to try and get anything. I'd be quite shocked if West Ham go there and win, if I'm being honest. Maybe the draw isn't a bad shout. If we score first, they can deflate Leicester. But for me, I think Leicester will come. They will try. They need to win this game, so they're going to throw everything at us. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's a shame with Leicester. It really is. I called it at the start of the season. Anyone who followed me at the start of the season, I used to say I had strong bets for Leicester to A, finish in the bottom half of the table, and B, to even get relegated. People laughed at me at 14-1. I thought it's absolutely a great bet that Leicester could go down this season, and they are nearly there. Let's be honest. They would have to have a miracle for them to stay up this season. Do you know what I'm saying? If Everton do not win against Bournemouth, they can stay up if they beat us. But it's been a mad season for them, really has. Like I remember when they beat us at the LS just before the World Cup, they were a decent side. And as the months have gone on, they've slowly just disintegrated into nothing, really. Do you know what I mean? So it will be a shame if Leicester do get relegated. I do like Leicester as a club. I think the way they do their business is pretty good. Some of their players are talented players. We've been linked with Harvey Barnes for £50 million. I think that's a bit strong for me. I do like the kid. His work rate's been questioned recently by Dean Smith. And for me, if we do get him, he's going to have to work very, very hard under Moyes, if Moyes is still here. So, yeah, I do like him. Indeed, I do like Tillerman's obviously going to leave at the end of the season for them. So it's they've got some decent players, but I always called this at the start of the season. I did fancy them to get relegated, and people did laugh at me on the panel and said they've got no chance of being relegated with the team they've got. And it's not so much that; it's the owners and all of their club, but they've been very, very good. But all good things do come to an end, and I think they've sort of been found out. So it's a shame with Leicester. In regards of us, it's more about Prague than it is about this game. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to be doing a lot of stuff next week in regards of like West Ham versus Fiorentina in Prague. When it comes to West Ham this season as a whole, and I do sort of give you my sort of thoughts on this season, it's been very bitty this season. Very bitty. It's not the season I expected, if I'm being honest. I expected West Ham to be a bit further up the table and not dancing with relegation for the vast majority of the season. But if someone would have said to me at the start of the season, James, you're going to finish 15th, but you're going to be in the final of the conference, I think every West Ham fan would have took that. 100%. Like no fan would have said, no, that's not good enough. I think the way it's gone this season isn't good. Like obviously dancing around with relegation, and there was fear of relegation, and there was a week in the season that I turned around and said that 1 week will tell me where West Ham are at. And that was the Southampton, Newcastle, and Fulham week, where we had a good result against Southampton, absolute shocking result against Newcastle, and then we managed to grind out a win against Fulham. And that was the week where I knew that West Ham would be all right. I think West Ham would have enough in the tank to get the job done. So it has been a mixed bag season in the Premier League for West Ham, and obviously this is the final preview of the Premier League season. And for me, some players have gelled at the right time. Like Paqueta is starting to look like the player that we paid the money for. I'll be real. At the start, when we did sign him, I was a bit worried and a bit apprehensive about him. I was thinking, is it going to take him a bit longer than expected? But he's starting to hit the ground running. Tilo's a player for me. I've always said I like Tilo Kehrer, but he's started off bad. He got worse, and he's got a little bit better, and now he's a lot better. So very inconsistent, Tilo, but he has done all right. And obviously, Aguerd, and one of those that I do rate Aguerd highly. So there is other players like obviously Maxwell Cornet, Danny Ings, who, let's be honest, they haven't pulled up any trees this year. Do you know what I'm saying? But as a preview goes for this game, I will come to my sort of predictions, and I'll get some questions from everyone. I am going to go for a Leicester win. I think West Ham will be more focused on Prague than they will be on anything else. I think there'll be a lot of changes for West Ham in this game. And I do expect West Ham to do a few changes in this game. I don't want West Ham to go there and literally think to themselves that they're just going to play sort of 5-6 first teamers when, let's be honest, Prague is massive. Do you know what I mean? That makes or breaks our season, really. If we win that, as a whole, the season's been okay. Yeah, it covers over a bad season. If we lose that in the final, then it isn't good. For me, I'm going to go for a 2-1 Leicester win. I think Leicester will get the job done. I think West Ham will score in this game, but I do think Leicester will want it more than us, and literally they will be fighting to the end. Do I think it'll keep them up? I don't think it does. I think Leicester get relegated. I think Everton will beat Bournemouth, and whatever Leeds do against Spurs is irrelevant. Do you know what I mean? I think the Everton home crowd will keep them in the league, and it'd be a sad day to see Leicester go down, because Leicester have done some good things. I do like the way they run their club, but this season just hasn't worked out for them. It really hasn't. So I'm going for a 2-1 Leicester win, and hopefully we are injury free in this game. Absolutely. And all set for Prague on the 7th of June. Right, let's go to questions, and let's get your questions in. So anyone's got any questions, please do fire them in, and I will answer them. But I will go to this. What we got here? Let's have a look. Let's see what Trini's got to say. I heard a rumour that Moyes is staying. Does that also mean Sullivan won't be selling up? Rumours Liverpool sniffing around Aguerd. I don't think, as I move that comment there, I don't think Sullivan's going anywhere, mate, if I'm being real. If you want me to be honest. Someone said it to me a while ago. I done a show on, I think it was West Ham Network, and they turned around and said to me, someone said to me about with David Gold's passing, obviously, probate and everything else. I don't think they're going to be able to push it through. It's not so much Sullivan going, it's Kadinsky or an owner taking over Sullivan's shares. I think Sullivan will have some sort of share in West Ham. I don't think he's ever going to leave that and just sail off into the sunset, even though I would love him to. Don't get me wrong. But once someone's got who's the majority shareholder at West Ham, that's what I do want. I want someone who's going to be in there who will dictate the play and, you know, do their thing, basically. Do you know what I'm saying? For me, while Sullivan's here, nothing's really going to change at West Ham. Do you know what I mean? It's going to be one step forward, two steps back. Obviously, if we win the conference, it's massive. It's massive for the club, right? For two reasons. One, we win a trophy that we haven't won in 43 years, right? And that will bring talent to West Ham that we might not have seen for years. Do you know what I'm saying? People will want to come to West Ham United. West Ham will be a name then. Do you know what I'm saying? The second thing is we're back in Europe. That also attracts better players. Do you know what I'm saying? For me, the Europe next season is massive because West Ham have been in Europe the last 2 years. And listen, I've seen the fan base love it, literally so much enjoy it going to all these different places. Yeah, the conference this year, has it been competitive for West Ham? Not really. This game against Fiorentina will be a competitive game. Like, they are a well-established Italian side. They've got some decent players. They've got two players that West Ham have been linked with, like, for a long time, in Cabral, who's up front for them, and Milenkovic. Now, Milenkovic was literally in Canary Wharf at one stage and ready to sign the deal for West Ham, and it fell through. Obviously, Serbian defender, decent player. Obviously, a bat in their team is going to be an handful, but we've got some good players and all. And if we're on it, I think we do go through Fiorentina. Right? I called it the other week, and I said after the Manchester United game, West Ham to get to the final and win the thing was 7-4, and I was so strong about it. Literally, I was literally convincing people to say, get your money on that, because if West Ham turn up and play their cards right, if Moyes plays a right team, right, tomorrow, Sunday, over Prague, then, you know, we could win the thing, and I do believe we will do. So, yeah, I have a feeling it will be squeaky bum time. Wouldn't surprise me if Everton lost. Well, one of them's going to go, or two of them are going to go, but, you know, out of them all, Everton are just dancing with fire every single season. Do you know what I'm saying? With the start we had, I would have been happy staying up on goal difference. I agree on that. I agree. Right. One thing I will say is that this season hasn't really been vintage West Ham. That's one thing I will say. Like, when I look at West Ham this season as a whole and the Premier League season, now people can say about Moyes, right? Some people are very much Moyes in. Look what he's done. Look what he's achieved at West Ham. 2 back-to-back Europes, 1 semi-final, 1 final. What more do you ask for? Yeah, some people look at it on the style of play. I do look at it on the style of play to a point. I think the style of play is poor when you're just sitting there waiting for another team just to have loads and loads of the ball, and we're just sitting there like playing possum. I don't like that. I never liked that system. Now, Jose Mourinho made his career on that, and look what he's won. And if Moyes goes and wins a trophy by doing that system, I can't complain with that. The problem is it's not sustainable, in my opinion. It really isn't. Like, you can't sustain that for a long period of time, and there's no development on that. Do you know what I'm saying? I honestly do believe Moyes is here next season. Right, I see things where people are saying about he could be out, he could quit in the summer. Why would you? You've got a year left. You've just won a trophy. Unless there was another job on the line for him somewhere else, and there's a opportunity for him to go somewhere else and like a national job or something, I just don't think he leaves. He don't go to another Premier League club, in my opinion. So basically, the only alternative is him to stay here at West Ham United. So with Moyes, it's very, very hit and miss with me. 1 minute I look at him and I think, you know what, he's good for us. And another reason I look at him, I think he's very stubborn for us. And when you've got a stubborn man in charge of West Ham United, you've got problems. You know what I'm saying? And next year, it's going to be different for West Ham next year, because there will be no Declan Rice. The heartbeat of our team will not be there. That's one thing I will say. I do think Declan will leave in the summer. I'll be very shocked if Declan stays another season. I will be. Do you know what I mean? I think his heart is firmly set on a move away from West Ham, but he doesn't like to say it. So next season is going to be a lot of change. Do you know what I mean? We're going to have like, a new central defensive midfielder, like of quality. Right, we're going to have to spend some money. We've got a lot of players whose contracts are winding down. Cafals is winding down. Bonner's winding down. No more Lanzini. It's a major restructural build for West Ham in the summer. So whatever West Ham do, they've got to get this right. Do you know what I mean? I do look at Brighton, and the same thing's going to happen to Brighton. They're going to lose a few of their players in the summer window. Do you know what I mean? It's a given. Like other teams are going to come calling, and it is what it is. But in regards of sort of this season as a whole, for me, it only becomes acceptable if West Ham win the conference. West Ham go and win the conference, they lift that trophy, they get European football next season. It's really no difference to them finishing sixth for West Ham. Let's be real. Like if West Ham go and win it and they get Europa League football next season, it's as good as finishing sixth, even though the Premier League form hasn't been great. Do you know what I mean? And it hasn't been great, the Premier League form, but over the last few months, ever since the Arsenal game, I did see like a sparkle in West Ham's eye to say, you know what, they're starting to turn that sort of corner to say, we can fight for this. Do you know what I'm saying? The Arsenal game was the start of it, really. That Arsenal game being 2-0 down, I was dreading the worst with West Ham, I'll be real. And that game really is one of the games where we've earned an extra point that sort of kept us up. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, the Bournemouth game was excellent, and other games sort of from now till then have been decent. The Manchester United game being one of them, where I thought we was top class from start to finish. So, yeah, for me, if we win the conference, it's been a pretty good season. Sullivan should leave for the Ings signing alone. Amateur. I'll be honest, Alfie got it absolutely spot on with that. I will say that. Alfie, WestHamOnline, anyone who don't know who I'm referring to, got it absolutely spot on. When we signed Danny Ings, Alfie said it's a bad signing right away. Doesn't fit the style of play that we play. He's not good in a one. He's good in right. Do you know what I'm saying? He's just not good, basically. I think Villa see us coming. They played the game with us and got rid of him for a lot of money on a very, very high contract. Now, is Danny Ings the sort of player that could come in and do a job for West Ham? Yes. I think he could do a job in regards of games that are meaningless. Yeah. But as a first team starter next season, West Ham have got to get this spot on in regards of strikers, defenders. I think defensively mainly. I think this season, amount of times I've seen us rotate with right backs at centre half, left backs at centre half, and 3 at the back, 4 at the back, 5 at the back. If you're going to play a system, at least have the players don't have a jack of all trades and a master of none. Get the man to do the job basically. Obviously at the start of the season, Aguero got injured, and let's be honest, that sort of derailed West Ham to a point. Do you know what I'm saying? Because West Ham were set on playing that 3 at the back system. I'm not a fan of the 3 at the back. I just don't think we're that good in that system. Certain teams play that system very, very well because they've been trained in that system for years. West Ham trying to learn that system in 6 months it's just not good. Let's be real. So, someone said it on a Twitter space that Moyes trying to adapt a style of play that he's never done in his management career, which will make him 100% right. So, when I do look at this season as a whole with certain players, and then when I do look at the summer, I see it as basically West Ham have to go out and make sure their defence is rock solid. I personally think they need a right back and a left back. I think Tilo over there is okay, but I think Tilo's more of a utility man. He can go everywhere. Do you know what I mean? Go right back, left back. He's not a first team starter for me, Tilo. Yeah, at the minute. Do you know what I mean? Unless he comes back in pre-season and becomes something else, then I would probably go, yeah, Tilo should be starting. But at the minute, I look at him and I think, should he be really starting games for West Ham as a right back? Not really. I think the Cafal situation has to be sorted out as soon as possible. That's another thing. And left back, we've got an issue there. Emerson is not very good at defending that left back. Yeah, some games he is, and in some games he's absolutely useless. But going forward, Emerson's pretty good, and that's where the Emerson Cresswell argument comes into play with me. Yeah, when I look at Cresswell and I look at Emerson, Cresswell crosses the ball well, but he can't defend either. But at least with Emerson, he does go forward and he does try and drive the team forward. So I think West Ham as a whole have got to sort the goalkeeper situation out and all. Like, I mean, is Fab going to be the first choice next year? Who's going to be the captain next year? There's a lot of major rebuilding, restructuring at West Ham in summer. And you know what? It's going to be a lot to talk about. Let's put it like that. Right, let's get here. While we had a relationship, I will speak now. While we have had relative success with Moyes, I don't want him to stay if he changes his ways. Well, that ain't going to happen, Trini, you know that. He has to rotate more. He has to change the subs more frequently, and he has to incorporate the youth. I agree with the youth, but he does not go with the youth. That's one thing he just don't do. Let's be honest. He only plays the youth if his hands are literally forced. And like, there is no excuse why he can't play a few youth players tomorrow. I keep saying tomorrow, Sunday. For me, there is no excuse, really. West Ham have got a bigger game on the 7th of June. Why, if West Ham don't have a bench full of at least 4 youth players who deserve it, let's be real, by all means, he needs to change his ways, Moyes. And the thing is, he's a very stubborn man. That's one thing with him, is he's ultimately stubborn. When he gets it wrong, he don't like to admit when he's wrong. When he gets it right, he's very smug about it. Do you know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. For me, I think the perfect way for Moyes to go would be to win the competition and leave. I just don't. I hear people saying he's going to quit in the summer. I just don't believe it. I just don't believe it because I just don't see where he goes from West Ham to somewhere bigger. If he's going to go down the peg, and why would you? Like, you wouldn't leave West Ham at this precise moment in time. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's an interesting one. We will see. Yeah, it's been a hard watch all season. Diabolical tactics. See, the tactics have irritated me. I called a 4-3-3 for a long time. I remember last summer, right, I was screaming on it on Twitter Spaces. I was literally saying, basically, West Ham need to start playing 4-3-3 with 2 inside forwards like Ben Rama, Bowen, etc. People were going, no, the 3 at the back, 3-4-3. Yeah, it was the order of the day. West Ham could play a 3-4-3, possession-based game, all this crap. Now, for me, West Ham don't hold the ball well enough to be a 3-4-3 side. But in a 4-3-3, West Ham can get forward a bit faster. All right, do you know what I'm saying? Really, that 4-3-3 ends up being a 4-2-3-1, really. Yeah, when West Ham are sitting deep, they go back into a sort of a 4-2-3-1, or going forward, it's like 4-2-3-1. But I do like the 4-3-3, always have done. I watched Liverpool do it for a long time. And when West Ham do play a 4-3-3 and they're on it, they're a good side. They're a very, very good side. It's just this season, it's just been very, very bitty. Do you know what I mean? Like the other week, for instance, to sort of go off topic a little bit, when we were talking about Flynn Downs, and every game Flynn's played away from home, near enough he's against a top 6 side. And West Ham are setting up to basically defend for their lives. That's not really what I want to see with West Ham next season. I need to see West Ham going to places and at least trying to win the game. Do you know what I mean? West Ham go to them places and try not to lose the game. And that's the difference in my honest opinion. I look at us next season. If we do win the conference, then we're going to get better players. Like, better players are going to want to come to us. Do you know what I'm saying? It's going to be different. That's for sure. I will say that. What we got here? We need a left back, a right back with stamina, pace, and who can deliver a cross. See, I agree with both what you said there, with left back and right back. I think that's major for West Ham. Also, one thing I will say is I think we need a good centre half. No, I really do. I think you can't rely on Kurt Zouma to be fit for the whole season. That's one thing that you definitely can't rely on. You look at him this season; he's been pretty good, Kurt Zouma. He's been through the mill, old Zouma, this season. Like, he's had a lot of stick from certain people. Do you know what I mean? He wasn't good at the start of the season. He's a bit all over the place. Got injured. He's come back recently. He's been pretty good. But even the other week, West Ham had to take him off after 45 minutes as a precaution. Do you know what I mean? To make sure he don't get injured. I think a centre half is majorly needed at West Ham. A good young centre half, someone who, who can force his way into that team. Do you know what I mean? Even if it meant Zuma sitting on the bench for a few games. I think Aguerd is a quality player. Like, people knock Aguerd, but I look at Aguerd and I think if he just sorts out his aerial problem of like balls coming in and be a bit more stronger in the air, I think we've got one of the best defenders in the league. Like, and that's not even me being biased. I'm being honest. Because I think on the ground, I think he's pretty decent. I really do. Like, I think everything going down the size of him, speed of him. He's one of the best defenders I've seen at West Ham for a long time. Do you know what I'm saying? As in, like, awareness of the play, just aerially. That's the weakness. That's the problem that West Ham have at the minute with him. When balls are coming in, he just can't defend them. So I think West Ham do need a centre half. Also, we'll say that. Troge is in. How you doing, Troge? Hope you're well. Sign that left back we played last round versus Atmar. I must admit, I thought he tore Bowen a new one. That sort of that Hungarian left back. I thought it was absolutely excellent against us, and I will sign him up. But he's been linked with Juventus, Benfica, and Porto, I think it is. So they've obviously see a change. You know what I mean? Richard Stevens, hope you're well, Rich. I want Moyes to go, but I really struggle to see who we will replace him with without taking a risk. I think what it is on that is I agree, right? If you go and sign a manager, for instance, and let's put it this way, we don't win the conference, I think it's a fresh approach. I think it's the right time to get a new manager in. But there will be no pressure on him. Right? You can say, right, your aim really is to finish in the top 10, yeah, for the season. If you can finish in the top 10, we'd be happy as fans. We would. And good cup runs. That's including it, like, as long as we don't win if we don't win the conference, then that's what we should expect as fans, yeah? Top 10 finish, good runs in all cup competitions. If Moyes goes and wins the conference and leaves, then the problem is that the new manager coming in, his expectations are going to be even higher than that. Like, the fans will say, basically, Moyes got us to a semi-final, and you've got to get us to a Europa League final. Do you know what I mean? Which is unrealistic, let's be honest. West Ham, don't get me wrong, in the Europa League, we were brilliant against Seville. We was excellent against Lyon. But then when we did play a team who was sort of well organised and had no grief, we did get found out in the end. Do you know what I mean? For me, I look at it like this. If he does go, the expectations next year of the new manager can't be as massive. Like, do you know what I mean? We can't be expecting him to finish in a top 6. Because it just ain't going to happen. Do you know what I mean? It's just West Ham. It just ain't going to happen. But if Moyes goes, he goes at the end of the day. Like, listen, managers come and go, but West Ham will last forever. That's what I always say. And he's done good things, Moyes. Has he took us to a level where we've not been for a long time? Yes. I can openly say that. Can he progress us any further? I don't think he can. But then, is my expectations, and I'll speak for myself because I can't speak for every West Ham fan, but is my expectations or everyone else's expectations too high because he's raised them that high? Like, West Ham being in the Europa League 1 year, the Conference League another year, semi-final 1 year, final this year. Like, I've never seen that in my lifetime, ever. Do you know what I mean? I've seen us get to a final in, obviously, 06 against Liverpool in the FA Cup. But is our expectations so high now that we've got to come down? We've got to come down to go forward again. Do you know what I'm saying? Because at the minute, we're doing very well with the European competitions, but we can't sustain it. That's the only thing I will say. For a large period of time, especially with the other teams who are coming. Like, West Ham do need to spend about 200 million in the summer. Well, that's one thing I will say. Their money, that they have to start spending some dough. And if they want to compete with them sort of top 10, top 8 teams, they've got to start spending like that and all. So, yeah. Trini. That the attacking players we've brought are used to playing 4-3-3. Not sure why Moyes brought them to try and wedge them into another system. See, for me, when you're trying to buy players to fit into a system, like, it shouldn't be. Like, West Ham should play their system that they've always played. Now, let's go back a few years ago in COVID times when we were brilliant, I thought, in COVID. West Ham played a 4-2-3-1 system and had, like, sort of Lingard, Ben Rama, Bowen, Fornells, and then it was Antonio up front. And we was very good, very good. Like, do you know what I mean? We would score goals. We looked threatening. Our counter-attacking ability was excellent. This season, we've become like a Bolton, Bolton of like 20 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like, grinding out games and, like, do you know what I mean? The odd decent performance. Is it sustainable for next season? No, it ain't. Like, it certainly is not for me. And I would like to see us be a bit more expansive. But then people say to me, James, like, but he's winning it. And I'm like, I get that, but you can only carry that system on, and you can only carry that style of play on for so long before it ain't going to work no more. Like Leicester City, who obviously we play on Sunday, they used to have a very, very good style of play, and look at them now. Like, I watched them against Newcastle. They fight it to the end. I'll give them their due, but they haven't got no style of play. It's like so a lot of teams are like waiting for the other teams to attack before they attack. When really West Ham should be on the front foot. West Ham always reacting. Right, West Ham should be proactive rather than reactive. Do you know what I mean? So, next season is going to be pretty big. Let's be honest. I would swap Milenkovic for Aguerd. Wanted him when we got Zuma instead, but he's not. He's not left-sided. But I disagree on that, mate. Milenkovic is a walking yellow card, mate. I will say that. Like, when the game comes up against them in sort of 10, 12 days' time, I'll be honest with you. Right, West Ham needs to be away from Milenkovic because he's a walking yellow card, mate. He will definitely get booked in that game, 100%. Zuma looks so fragile every game. 2 twitches. Yeah, I agree. Do you know what? I do like Zuma, but he's just not fit enough. He's just not fit enough for the cause, is he? Let's be honest. It's like Zuma's the sort of player who can come in and be a bit part player. Do you know what I mean? He comes in for games, does a job, play him 1 week, rest him for a week, play him another week, rest him for a week. Do you know what I'm saying? But West Ham need to go younger with players also. Like, I see some of the players that West Ham have been linked with so far. Paulinho, I think it is, at Fulham. I like him. I liked him when he was I think he was at Sporting Lisbon, I think it was. Decent player, Portuguese player. Very, very good. I would be happy with that. The James Ward-Prowse one just does not do it for me. I don't know why, but it just does not do it for me. I just think, really, you really want to go down that route with him when, he's good at set pieces, but is he good at everything else? You know what I'm saying? Not really. The Harvey Barnes one is a good shout. I will say that for a left-sided player, young. The only problem with him, he does pick up the odd injury from time to time. He's out for like large periods of like time, but he's a decent player. If I was to go and pick a player, someone who would cost nothing this summer, I'd go and get Reece Nelson from Arsenal. He would be one who, you look at him, he's in London, there's no fee involved. If he's I'm in an iron about a new deal, and I think it's going to go down to the end, unless he has already signed a new deal. But if he don't sign a new deal, I'd definitely be all over Reece Nelson. I think he's a decent player. I think he's got a lot to prove, and at Arsenal, he just hasn't had the opportunity, in my opinion. I mean, he hasn't. The youth need to be given more chance next season. Some gems in there, even if they are just integrated slowly, gives them some belief. I agree with Michael on that, 100%. The youth do need to be developed, but then we also need to think about West Ham rather than obviously the youth. I think the youth players need to play in certain cup games. If West Ham do qualify for the Europa League, definitely integrate them into Europe more than anything. Cup competitions would be ideal for them. I think the Premier League, I think we need the big hitters there. That's as simple as that. Like, we can't go and risk players in the Premier League. Like, when Declan come on for his debut against Burnley, his last game of the season, if I remember rightly, I might have got this wrong. It's either the following season or the season after that, we went to Liverpool away on the first game of the season. We got absolutely blitzed. And he got pulled off at half time, I think it was. He was terrible, Declan was. He was literally so bad. Now, obviously, we're going to have to bring him in slowly, and you can bring him in. But what he's done with Mbamba, played against Brentford, which is fair enough. Brought him on the other day against Leeds. It's good. It's good. It's the right way of doing it. He's bringing him on. He's giving them 10 minutes here. And I think Mbamba's going to be a player. I really do. I think what West Ham do need to do with the youth, which they didn't do a few years ago, when they had like sort of Elise, Baptiste, etc. And obviously Baptiste is going to leave at the end of the season, is to get them out on loan. If they're not going to be a part of the team, they need to be out playing first team football elsewhere, at places like Peterborough or Luton or somewhere like that. Do you know what I mean? For me, they need to be playing. They can't be in this sort of under 18s or under 23s and just sitting there just doing that, because the competition in that is just not the same as like League One. Like they need to go out and learn their trade. When I look at Elise and especially Ekwar at Sunderland is going to be a player. I literally called it for a long time. I said Ekwar should be all over this team. Especially when I knew Declan Rice was going to probably leave. I think Ekwar would have been an ideal player to sort of come in, learn his trade, and be a part of it. You know what I mean, we see what happened with Josh Cullen for years, and and this season we're going to see what Josh Cullen's all about, right, for Burnley. Yeah, was it the right move for him to leave and go to Anderlecht and come back to sort of Burnley? Time will tell. But every sort of Burnley fan that I've sort of seen on Twitter, they can't stop raving about Josh Cullen. They think he's one of the best players they've had at their club. So, and even Vincent Kompany says he's a unique player. So if that's coming from Vincent Kompany, that really says it all for me. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, let's get down. Let's scroll down a little bit. Exactly. I'll start Mbamba over at Ings on Sunday. I agree. Pains me to say this, but we need to find a Skamaka. Yeah. Do you know what? I think Skamaka has Skamaka been good this season? No. Right? Has he been given opportunities in certain games? I don't believe he has. I remember one game this season where I done an afterthought and I was absolutely fuming with Moyes. I really was. I was so angry with Moyes, unreal. I turned around and said that we're against Leeds, away from home. We go 2-1 up. Skamaka scores an absolute belting goal from outside the box. And on the 70th minute mark, he takes him off. And I just think to myself, that's your star striker. Yeah, he's just scored, and then you're sort of pulling him off the pitch because you need to please everyone. Now, obviously he's got injured. Will Skamaka be in next season? I'll be very shocked if Skamaka's sold in the summer. I don't think West Ham can get rid of him at all. Right? If West Ham have to get rid of Rice, because if Rice leaves, you've got to get rid of Skamaka. You've got players there whose contracts need to be renewed. You can't do everything, West Ham. Unless West Ham have got a windfall of money coming. I just can't see it. So I think Skamaka will be here. I think you'll see more Skamaka next season in a West Ham shirt. I do hope. Do you know what I mean? If he does get sold in the summer, I ain't going to be pleased, mate, if I'm honest. Because I think he's a decent player. I really do. I think people knock him a little bit. Has he been a flop this season? I wouldn't say so. I would say there's been so many systems this year where he's been isolated. I think Moyes has made him into a flop, really. I don't think he's a bad player. I just think the systems just haven't suited his game. And I think now West Ham have finally found a system that sort of benefits us. You're starting to see players sort of gel a bit better. Like the 4-3-3 system with two inside forwards does suit West Ham. Always has done. And that's why Antonio looks a bit better as a player. And I think Skamaka would look the same, if I'm being honest. What we've got here? Barry Clark. Let's see what Barry's got to say. I think because we've had a crap season after two really good ones, but West Ham will bounce back, and I think Moyes will do better. And I think he knows that word, Barry. Just done with that word specifically. If Rice does stay, I don't think Rice does stay, mate. I think they know that he's out the door. I will say that, but I do agree with what you just said there, Barry, 100%. He's got some share in this squad and help the wage bill. Yeah, I'm gutted that all the youngsters want to leave, but you can't blame them if Moyes just doesn't want to know. The thing is with that, I agree with Cockney on that 100%. Yeah, with Moyes, with the youth, I think with Mbamba, he's just had to use him because let's be honest, West Ham have got bigger games coming up, so we just thought, you know what, I'll chuck him in. I think he's a bit further down the road than some of them other players. I will be honest. Like I think he's more closer to the first team than any other youth player at present. But in certain games next season, I would like to see players integrated into this side. I really would, and I don't see why they shouldn't be. You know what I mean? Moyes has already taken us further than anyone expected. The bloke can't win because of unrealistic expectations from the fans. See, I agree slightly on that, but then DMH, I will say one thing. He has raised expectations, but shouldn't our expectations as West Ham fans be at least to hit Europe? Like that's what we should be asking as fans. Like that's what we should be aiming for. When I look at Brighton and I look at Brentford, we're a bigger club than them two clubs, and we should be aiming higher than where we are. Do you know what I'm saying? This season hasn't been good, and I think a lot of fans are more pissed off with the fact that the way West Ham play with their playing style. West Ham's playing style has been pretty bang average this year. Do you know what I mean? When you're just sort of setting up against teams away from home. And I look at Southampton this year, and Southampton have been relegated, and they go to Chelsea and win. They go to Arsenal and draw. And West Ham can't be a top 6 side away from home. Do you know what I mean? They just can't do it. So I understand what people say about unrealistic expectations. And what are West Ham's expectations? As a West Ham fan, right, I can say my expectation for West Ham is a top 10 finish. I expect West Ham to be in that top 10 bracket sort of every season. And I don't think that's being unrealistic. I think that's being fair. I think with the amount of resources that we have, the amount of money that we spend, the fans who go home and away, Europe, everything, and let's be honest, our fan base is the fucking best. I don't like people won't admit that, but it is the best because West Ham sell out everywhere they go, literally everywhere. And for me, it should be at least top 10. It should be. West Ham should not be dancing with relegation in 2023. That's one thing I will say. So I agree with slightly what you say, DMH. I do. But on the other hand, I do look at it and think Moyes has also got to do better. Do you know what I mean? Because like he can't. I think he does get away with a lot. Certain moments he does get away with it. I will say that. All right, let's get to this comment from Lee. Hi James, I enjoy your shows. Up the Hammers. Hopefully we beat Leicester on Sunday. Well, let's hope so, mate. I think Leicester are going to turn up on Sunday. What do you do? Yeah, we will see, James. Let's get down here. We need a leader on the pitch next season. When Rice goes, who would your choice? Who's your choice, James? I think Aguerd's a good leader. I think you've only got to look at the Morocco side. Basically, look at what he done with Morocco. I think whoever it is, maybe even Paqueta wouldn't be a bad shout for captain next year. The only problem is his English is pretty poor. That's the only problem. For me, Paqueta's got all the tools to be a perfect captain. I think he could lead by example. People will respect him for what he does with Brazil and everything. I think Paqueta wouldn't be a bad shout. After that, I'm a bit lost. I'm a bit lost with who it is. Because let's be honest, you could say probably Cresswell, but do you really want Cresswell playing at left back for the whole season? I don't. But I like Cresswell. I think Cresswell's a decent player. And nothing will give me greater pleasure than Cresswell scoring the winner in Prague. For the amount of shit he's had, and listen, I'll give him a lot of shit, Cresswell. Yeah, but if he goes and scores the winner, he'll be a hero. Yeah, from like a villain to hero in space of 365 days. Yeah. But if it ain't Aguerd, and it ain't Paqueta, then I don't know who it could be, if I'm being honest. I don't think Jared Bowen's made for it. I really don't. I think Souček is very hit and miss. I think the fan base look at him and a bit sort of torn with him. Kufal would be a shout. I would be honest. I think Kufal is arguably a shout. Other than that, there is really no one else, if I'm being truthfully honest on it. You know what I'm saying? Well, let's get down here. Let's have a look. I'll take Vardy on a free. Reece Nelson just signed a new deal with Arsenal. Oh, I knew he. I thought he had. That's a shame. We have getting old players, and he's still quick. Yeah, I agree. I think we need to go all out and get a tall, athletic, ball-playing central midfielder, central defensive midfielder if we lose Rice. I do think we're going to need 2 players. Do you know what I mean? I will say that. Mike is in the house. Signings may depend on if we get Europa League. But still think we need to look at younger championship players like Scott. See, I agree with Mike 100%. Alex Scott at Bristol City is the man. I could not believe the other week when West Ham said they won't pay the 25 million that Bristol City want. This geezer is going to be quality, absolute quality. Yeah, I think he's going away in the summer with the under-20s, England under-20s. I think it is. Watch him in that. He's an absolute quality player. I spoke to a Bristol City fan on Twitter. I said, describe him for me. He said he plays a bit like our Greenish plays, but he's a defensive sort of midfielder or central midfielder. That's what he is. Yeah, but he gets the ball. He carries the ball very, very well. They call him the Guernsey Grealish. Do you know what I mean? So at a young age, and I just look at West Ham and I think if West Ham are going to go down that route, I would respect it. I'll like go and get the Coventry striker, Victor, whatever his name is. I can't think of his name, but the Swedish centre forward. I think he's an excellent player. I think Alex Scott's a great player. I think Middlesbrough have got a couple of decent players up there, especially their left back or right back. I think it is Jones, decent player. When I look at the Championship, West Ham are a sort of club that West Ham could dive into there and take players out and nurture them. You've only got to look at Bowen. People have got their opinions on Ben Rama, but Ben Rama for me is a decent player, West Ham. I mean, I've seen a lot worse than him. Yeah, so I think Ben Rama has done well at West Ham to a point. I look at Cresswell. Cresswell come from Ipswich, decent player. He's had a decent career. So if you want to go down that route, I'd rather West Ham go down that route and stick to it. Do you know what I mean? If clubs like Bristol City want 25 million for a 20-year-old, then it's not really a risk, not in today's market, 100%. Ekwar at least looks solid at Sunderland and played a number of games. Ekwar does look good, mate, I must admit. I was talking about him for about a year, and I remember saying about him. Skamaka is a top striker, and we will see how good he is when he ain't here. Yeah, I agree. The diving has been an issue for years. More yellows and VAR is needed, but going down on it. Wait till you see Fiorentina players chucking themselves about. Yeah, I know. That's a bit of a worry. Let's get down to the bottom here. Is it time to look for another goalkeeper, James? I absolutely agree on this one. Also, as been said so many times, that Moyes isn't a fan of flair players, which isn't maybe why he hasn't gelled with Skamaka. He isn't a fan of flair players. You've only got to look at the situation with Benny. He doesn't. He's not a fan of Ben Rama. Goalkeeping side of things, that is an issue, majorly. I think when Fabianski's better than Areola, to a point, and Fabianski's done better performances, and Fabianski's hasn't been great this season in certain moments. Like I remember the Chelsea away game where West Ham were in complete control and he just self-destructed in that game. He has saved penalties this season. I think he saved a penalty against Villa, I think it was, this season. They sort of kept us in the game. I think West Ham need to go out and get a goalkeeper of some note. Now, for me, if West Ham are going to go big, go and get the Brentford goalkeeper. Do you know what I mean? Raya. But West Ham had a chance to go and sign Nick Pope last year and they blew it out. They didn't want to pay the money. They've gone for the cheap and cheerful option. Now, people could say about Areola, right? But Areola's actually got to a semi-final with West Ham and now a final with West Ham as the goalkeeper. I always wanted Areola, for a long time. When West Ham were linked with Areola, I was like, he's the man, go and get him, But I think West Ham need to just they've either got to start him in the Premier League and just give him consistent games and leave Fab to, as if Fab signs a new deal, leave Fab for Europe, if West Ham qualify for Europe. But I do think a goalkeeper is majorly needed. Like, there's a lot of restructuring. If you really dive into it and you sat there with a notepad and pen, went for all the players that you think would stay, who would go, like, there's a lot of issues at West Ham where some of these players, like, I don't think half of them are going to be here next season. I mean, I think half our side is going to be gone. And I think that's a bit of a worry with me because when you look at teams trying to rebuild, West Ham are always trying to rebuild with 6-7 players a season. And they should be doing it 3 or 4 players a season. They should be nurturing these players out, bringing new players in. So, I think a goalkeeper is needed, Rich, 100%. Hi, hey, James. Hope you've had a good week. Lovely sun in the UK for once. I must admit, the sun is absolutely banging, mate, over in the UK. I will be honest. You know what I'm saying? Who needs Barbados, eh? Let's get down to the bottom here. Let's have a look. And Bamba has a big part to play next season, but always be there at every game and giving it at least 15 starts a season. Get him game time, shine like Rashford did. I agree. I think next season, Danny Ings, for me, hasn't really done anything. And I think Bamba's done a bit more than what Danny Ings has done. Do you know what I mean? Give him a go. I think he also has to learn his trade, though. Right, he has to, if he's going to play games, you've got to give him a guarantee of at least 10 to 15 games next season, at least. I think he will get that in Europe, I will say that. What we got here? Let's have a look. Let's get down here. We are a 8 or 10 team easy. Just the league gets harder every year. Yeah, I agree. I do look at us, though, and I think the top 10 isn't beyond our grasp. in my opinion. I look at us and I go, should West Ham be finishing where Crystal Palace are finishing? Not really. Not with the budget that we've got and the amount of money we're spent. And I think next season we have to be hitting that top 10 bracket. Have to. Do you know what I mean? I think if West Ham, just for argument's sake, if West Ham win the conference, get Europa League, I think you could probably accept 12th or 14th in the league. You probably could. Yeah, you probably could say, you know what? Yeah, if we finish 14th, but we have a really good run in the Europa League, then you could probably accept that. I think next season, if we don't get any European football at all, I think personally West Ham have to finish top 10. I think that is a given. I think anywhere below that is failure, in my opinion. Like, especially with the other teams. What else we got here? Ryan Kent could be a good shout on a free. Do you know what? He done pretty well, but then he's fallen a bit of by the wayside, Michael. I will say that. I did like Ryan Kent, but then, it's just one of them, isn't it, with him? Let's get down the bottom here. Freddie Davis. Lucas is one lucky bugger, I think that is. How can you got a ticket to the final? I never know. Good for him, though. Yeah, I did see it on social media that he did get a ticket. You know what I mean? You got to ask what he had to do to get you that ticket, though, mate. That's what you got to say to yourself, people. Do you know what I mean? Better keep it in the heart, though. Just mentality. Arioli was a good keeper. I'll start him next season, but with Moyes, if your face don't fit, you have no chance. Yeah, I agree on that. I agree. See, I look at a few things before I wrap this up with Moyes. Like the Flynn Downs thing. I'll see people knocking Flynn. And listen, I'm not a big, huge lover of Flynn. Yeah, I like Flynn as a player, but he's not like one of my most favourite players. Yeah, I'm not going to lie, but I will back him up when he needs to be backed up. When he hasn't really done a lot wrong this year. I mean, he hasn't tore up any trees, but I'm not expecting that from a £15 million defensive midfielder who's fourth choice. Do you know what I mean? That's what he really is. If you sort of weigh it up, when West Ham play a 3-man midfield, yeah, he's not always going to be in there. There's other players who's going to come in there and do the role before he does. Do you know what I'm saying? So I do agree. If your face don't fit, and obviously Prague is absolutely massive. Like that is, that's the one, isn't it? Anyone in the chat going to Prague ticketless? So anyone in the chat going to Prague ticketless by Snazzy? Do you know what I mean? Jimbo, where are you watching the game, fella? I will be watching it in a boozer in East London with a few mates. It's going to be a mad day. I'm going to quickly speak about that, and then I'm going to talk about what I'm doing next week because I am going to be so busy next week. It's unreal. Listen, on the 7th is going to be mental. Do you know what I mean? West Ham win it. There'll be lots of tears, lots of videos, lots of stuff, honestly. And it hasn't really, how can I put it? Where it's so far away, I can't get excited for it yet. Once somebody's game is done for me, then I will start getting the buzz. The buzz will start coming back. I'll be like, whoa, this is it now. Like, this is our moment. If West Ham do win it, it's going to be an amazing feeling, trust me, to see the team that we all love lift a trophy and say, you know what? Yeah, that's us. Do you know what I'm saying? It's been a long time coming, but, we fucking deserve it as fans. I will say that. You know what I mean? So I really honestly can't wait. Like as of Monday next week, I am going to be so busy. I'm getting supporters on E20. Yeah, I'm doing like a E20 supporters zone. If you look in sort of the upcoming videos, they're all in there, ready to go. I'm going to be busy every single day from Monday to Friday. People that I'm getting Bubbling Irons on, Gio from Hammer's Chat on, Charlie Walsh, Dan Lawless, hopefully, and Jace from West Ham Fan TV. I'm going to be busy. Because what it is, I want to hear what people have got to say about basically West Ham as a whole this season. West Ham, what they think will happen in Prague, and what they predict will happen in Prague. Do you know what I'm saying? And you know what? It's to end on a high with Prague would be amazing. I will say that. If West Ham go and do win it, and everyone is so overjoyed and happy, like you can enjoy your summer knowing West Ham have won a European trophy. Do you know what I mean? Richard says, Fever's got the deflector shield up for Flynn. I get it. Not really. Not really. Like, listen, because if he was crap, I'd say he's crap. I just don't think he's that bad. But listen, whatever happens in Prague happens, and listen, like, it's going to be emotional. If we lose the game, I'm going to be gutted. Yeah. If we win the game, I'm going to be literally crying with joy. You know what I mean? It is what it is. So yeah, next week, starting from Monday, I'm doing like an E20 supporters zone thing, getting people on, talking to them. As I say, loads and loads of people. So do check it out there. Do you know what I mean? And you know what? Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Like with the amount of people I'm getting on, I'm trying my best to get like well-known faces on, people who you will know. So yeah, be good. I'm going to wrap it up there. I've nearly done an hour, and I've been rambling on about all sorts of rubbish. You know what I mean? And NH Hammer says, need that trophy. I'm 62. I can't wait much longer. I agree, mate. I really, really do. 62. I waited all my life for this, mate. And if West Ham deliver, then, do you know what I mean? That is an achievement above all achievements. And listen, to sort of reminisce, I've seen West Ham with some worse teams. I've seen West Ham play kids at not the Forest away and get absolutely destroyed. Like, do you know what I mean? Because we haven't got enough players. West Ham get to the Conference League final and win the thing. Yeah, it'd be an amazing achievement. It will. It really will. So yeah. Please do smash a like on the video and please do subscribe to the channel if you are new around here. I'll be back Sunday after the game, straight after the Leicester game, after full player ratings as usual. After thought will be at 6:30. Player ratings will be at 8 o'clock. I will be there. Who else will be there? I don't know. Right. And as of Monday, Bank Holiday Monday, I'll be doing the E20 supporters thing. And, you know, we will see what everyone else has got to say about West Ham this season. But I'm going to let you go and enjoy the sunshine. West Ham Leicester, Sunday, 4:30 UK time. I think it's a tough game for West Ham, if I'm being honest, because I think Leicester are going to come and deliver. And if Leicester do go down, it'll be a sad day because I do like Leicester as a football club. I think they're a decent football club. But if you don't win your games, you don't pick up points, you just don't stand the league. And thankfully, West Ham did do all of that and more. So, yeah, great achievement from us. Let's just go to Prague and get it won over in Prague and then caps off a decent 2023. Enjoy your Friday and enjoy your Saturday, and I will see you again Sunday. Take care of yourselves and each other. Peace.
There it is. I've never found a love like this.